Hello all, it's the Old Geek, and this video is going to form part of my series of looking into pre-generated characters and NPCs. I know I looked at the pre-gens in G123 and D1 and 2. In this adventure, they're not pre-gens as such, they're NPCs, but this was the first basic D&D adventure. And this adventure was written, this is of course In Search of the Unknown, originally written in 1977. Was it published 77, 78, around then? And this predated Moldvay Basic. So it was written for Holmes Basic, which is an edition I have zero experience with. I had a little browse through the character creation rules and the ability rules and all that sort of thing last night, but I haven't actually played the edition that this module was written for. Now, what I could see from the rules is that Holmes Basic was considered to be a stepping stone into AD&D. There were numerous mentions of carrying on the game using AD&D, and the only edition of this module that I ever had was the brown cover, the re-release, and I know that was edited to fit more with Moldvay Basic. So, shall we see? I mean, I've not yet looked at these pre-gens in this version. I've looked at them in the brown version, but let's see what the differences are here. Now, one thing I do know is the pre-gens are near the back. So let's scroll through. I keep calling them pre-gens. They are NPCs. Here we go. Oh no, they can be pre-gens. It says here, the character lists are designed for multi-purpose use. First of all, they can be used by players to select a player character, if they choose to do so, rather than roll up abilities of their own. And secondly, they can be used as non-player characters in the positions of henchmen or hirelings. Okay. Now you're supposed to select these randomly, based on the number of player characters that are in the party. So if there's only 2 players, then you've got a 100% chance of getting 1 to 4 NPCs coming along with you, if you so choose. Now, one common criticism of a lot of the older adventures is the party size that the adventures expect. That's because they were written for tournaments, and very rarely were adventures produced that were really suitable for a number of players that was more realistically close to what we got. But this party size issue is one of the expectations of early D&D. You were not meant to go into a dungeon with just 2 of you, or even 3, or usually even 4 of you. You were meant to cover the bases. You were meant to pad the party out with henchmen and hirelings, because safety was in numbers. Now, I know a lot of people poo-poo the idea, I don't want to bother with looking after NPCs and whatever. Well, sorry, tough. Tough. It's how the game was written. You expected to have a solid party size. But it is interesting here. Player characters 6 or more, no chance of henchmen or hirelings available. I'd change that. I'd change that. Anyway, immediately you can see here in the brown cover B1, you have fighters. Here, fighting man. That's the language used to describe a fighter in OD&D and in Holmes Basic. So this is written for Holmes Basic. Fighting man, cleric, thief, magic user. Okay. And what are they going to do with demi-humans? You roll personalities. So there you've got helpful, cooperative, obstinate, argumentative, loyal, fickle, greedy, cowardly, all that sort of stuff. Good, good. Any hireling surviving an adventure, if well treated and amply rewarded, may decide to become a follower or loyal henchman of one of the player characters. There you go. Treat them well. So let's have a look at some of these characters. We've got clerics here. Are they are all human. Yeah, Holmes Basic was Racer's Class, wasn't there? There was Racer's Class in Holmes Basic. So, Farned of the Great Church, Durham, servant of Saint Carmichael, the mystical one. So mystical, he or she does not need to reveal their name. Mulgar the Merciful, Seaful the Unforgiving, Filgo the Nothing, Tacit Servant of St. Cuthbert, a little bit of Greyhawk reference, Wilbur the Silent, Cracky the Hooded One, Grampol of the Secret Church, Nupo, Servant of the Bringer, and Ego of the Holy Brotherhood. Looking at the statistics, one thing that did surprise me, and yeah, I had heard about this regarding Holmes Basic, is the bonuses you get for various stats. In a lot of cases, it's just the 5 or 10% bonuses you get for your prime requisite in terms of experience. So if you see Farned of the Great Church at the top there, that's strength of 7. Isn't going to be much of a detriment because clerics don't need strength. There's no penalty to attack with it. Dexterity affects initiative and hitting with missiles. Constitution I saw was useful. You do get constitution bonuses, hit point bonuses for a decent constitution. Charisma sets the maximum number of henchmen or hirelings you can have. Intelligence, very useful for magic users, chance to learn spells and all that sort of stuff. But strength and wisdom really got a bit of a raw deal from what I could see. So you don't worry about Seaful the Unforgiving, a human cleric here with a strength of 6 and an intelligence of 8. The character's going to get no combat penalties from that. And this is the version where the weapons as well, it's all a d6. So it's just fluff, really, regarding just how it's roleplay, the weapons. Everything does a d6. That, of course, would change in AD&D, and in the weapons section of Holmes Basic, I do remember it saying, for more detailed weapon damage, etc., check out the AD&D books. So, you roll the dice. Doesn't that go against the rules that NPCs, henchmen, can't be a higher level than the player characters? But you roll dice for the level down there, so you could have a 3rd level cleric henchman. Oh no, here we go. All non-player clerics are a 1st level and use one 6-sided die to determine hit points, except for an independent henchman, one during the adventure on his own, rather than out of loyalty or for a fee. Okay, that depends on the roleplay, doesn't it? So, fighting men. Here we have the fighting men. And there we go. Elves and dwarves are listed, and halflings in amongst the fighting men, because they were assumed to be fighting men when it came to things in the rules that I can't really remember. Only browsed. So you've got Brandon, Evro, Glendor the Fourth, Zephon, Allo Atho Renegade, Craigo of the Mountains, Pendor, Mohag the Wanderer, Norin the Barbarian, Lefto, Weberan of the Great North, and Shorembo. Fine. I don't think there's any meaning to these names. I think these names are just dragged up, sort of random jumbles of letters. Throw them in, pull them out. There we are. So here, you think, dagger? What's a fighter type doing with a dagger and a hand axe? Well, it doesn't matter. It don't matter. Short bow and 12 arrows. Aren't they gonna... They're only gonna be missile then. Armor, shield only. That's gonna be one broke fighter. Shield only or leather armor. Notice some of them here. Magic items. Starting with magic items. Yeah, Halfling and Elven fighting men use six-sided dice, whereas humans use eight-sided dice. Magic users: Presto, Meslo, Nikar, Shubafum, Yor, Ralt Galtha, Fensig, Glom the Mighty, Trebolos, Boy Magician, Beska Militar, Lapoi the Unexpected, and Surfal. Some of these are elves, so there's a chance of getting an elf on the fighting men table and on the magic user table. Isn't there something in the rules about elves choosing what they want to be before an adventure in this version of D&D, or was that OD&D? I know they were just straight fighter magic users in later editions of Basic, but I didn't read the elf rules. So I think that might be why there's elves on both tables. Again, intelligence is the one most useful stat, but constitution is helpful. Constitution of 5. Yes, characters with a constitution of 5. The thing about all these stats is they're an opportunity for role play as well. Why has that character got a constitution of 5? Are they unfit, or are they genuinely sickly? You have that magic user, Fensig. I've got to sit down. Oh, it's setting off my asthma. Well, not that they'd know it was asthma in those days, but hey ho, that sort of thing. But yeah, it just adds a little bit to the depth, doesn't it? Spells. Again, you can have up to third level. Third level, yeah. A list of spells you roll randomly. Cool. Thieves. Halflings are listed on thieves. Okay. Thought halflings were assumed to be fighting men. Don't know. But hang on, you've got elf thief, dwarf thief as well. All right. I didn't read enough of the Holmes rules here. Is this a bit of AD&D bleeding in? I don't know. Well, tell me in the comments below. Now, dexterity doesn't affect armor class. It affects initiative. So thieves will move quickly in combat. Determine. Why do no thieves have bigger weapons and daggers? I thought thieves could use any weapon that a fighter can use in basic D&D. So why? I know they all do a D6, and why have some of them got no weapons at all? That's a little illogical for me. That's a little illogical. A thief will at least have a sling, maybe. Surely a thief can afford a club. They're not just going to be complete beggars. Especially if there's a chance of them getting leather armor +1 and no weapon. I think that's a bit wonky. Yeah, and I know daggers do 1d6, and there's a chance of getting a dagger +1 there, which is nice. But certainly I would have put a bit more variability on the thief's weapon table. Thief ability category. What's that? Is level 1, level 2, level 3? They gave them ability categories, so that's the percentages for the skills. I did see the skill percentages listed in the rule book, so I think that's the way they did it. I do like this bit of art. I know it's not the greatest piece of artwork in terms of the artist's ability, but I think this demonstrates I think this demonstrates thieves very well. One appears to be climbing a wall to get to the treasure. One's helping himself to the treasure. I don't know quite why he's up the wall, but he's just showing off, I guess. And here's one with 2 daggers stabbing what appears to be a mummy in the back. And now, if there are any mummies in this adventure, then I would be very, very surprised. And I mean, they could just be mummified zombies, which makes sense. So, because obviously that dagger, unless it's magical, would not be harming a mummy. But a thief planting a dagger in the back of a mummified zombie. That's what we call it, mummified zombie. Right. So, something I did spot. I'm going to go back to there. Craig over the mountains. Strength 1854. Basic D&D didn't have percentile strength in either of the versions I've played, Moldvay and Mensa. I didn't see any mention of rolling percentile strength in Holmes Basic. So is this another nod to AD&D? Um, Very probably, because those percentiles only really came into being with AD&D, as far as I know. Correct me if my history's wrong. But it does look like Craig over the mountains. This dwarven fighting man, um, high wisdom, high constitution. Because all these stats are meant to be rolled using 3d6 in order. That is Craigo here. Strength 18, intelligence 9, wisdom 15, constitution 16, dexterity 9, charisma 14. That's a good character using 4d6 rear range. That's a strong set of stats. Constitution in front of dexterity. Did they change that for the brown edition? I'll have to look that up to see where they've swapped constitution and dexterity round. Because of course it was swapped round in the stats. I mean, there are some good sets of stats here. Show Rembo down here, this elf with Constitution 18, Charisma 9, Charisma 15. Um, are these 3d6 in order, or are these 4d6 rear range? There are a few that look like 3d6 in order. Don't look at Alho Rengate. No, everything between 9 and 12. He is Mr. Average, Mr. Unspectacular. Often those are the ones who survive, though, aren't they? Because those who think they're big and strong and who believe they should have a damage bonus due to having 18 strength and go charging into combat, they're the ones who die. But of course, you don't get a damage bonus due to 18 strength, so sorry, Craigo. You'll get extra hit points for your constitution. Be happy with that. So let's have a look at the thief names. I didn't read them out, did I? Leuven Lightfinger, Tredo, Bozomus, Estrazo, Lagamundo, Fegano the Quick, Meswan, Dreb, Postu, Hag of the City Afar. I like that one, that's good. Aftonbor and Sporaga. Some of these names don't... I mean, Estrazo doesn't feel very elven to me. Mesron doesn't feel very dwarven. Sporaga, imagine that being a dwarf. See, Tredo sounds quite halflingy. Leuven Lightfinger, yeah, it could be quite halflingy. Presto, that's not very original, is it? Presto. Yeah. I think they clearly weren't using like Tolkien type elven naming conventions here, because some of these elf names don't feel very elven. Craig over the Mountains certainly does feel dwarven. Zephan, you're not sure. Evro. The elf names don't seem any different to human names, apart from they all seem to end in O. O. Halflings' names end in O. Boo Boo. Samwise. Okay, no. Just Bilbo and Frodo. And others. But Show Rembo isn't an elven name. That sounds like a ninja. Anyway, I hope you found this little browse interesting. These I like the fact that there's multiple pages of these that they've been provided advice. There's 4 pages of it, advice for the DMs, because this adventure was a teaching module. It was an introductory adventure. It had the DMs stock the dungeon themselves It gave you a map and it gave you a list of things to put in there, and it gave you pretty thorough descriptions of the places. But the idea was you put your own monsters and treasure. And while people might think, yeah, might be a bit bland, it's just a dungeon crawl, it is, but it's it's a tool for a beginning DM. It's a learning piece. I will say I don't like the top level map on this. There's a lot of good ideas in there, but it's just sort of all cobbled together. The lower level map is fine, but the upper level map is just all over the place. Doesn't feel like someone's home at all with the maze and all that sort of stuff. The pools room is fun, but and the descriptions are great. But this adventure did a very good job of teaching, though. It did a very good job of teaching the basic art of DMing a dungeon delve, and for that it needs to be congratulated. And I like the fact that it's given about 4 pages over towards NPCs, advice on how to use them, and descriptions of personalities and what they might be equipped with and all that sort of stuff. So that's good. That's good. Interesting. Nice little bit. Again, very traditional art. Very traditional art. Party, are they on their way to the to Questquaton, or are they on their way home? And this little pixie over here, does he have any part to play? Who knows? Who knows? Oh, look, a little house in the bottom of the tree. Who knows? Well, I hope you've enjoyed this little bit of nostalgia, a little bit of a read through, a bit of a blast from the past. Let's just show you the cover image. Classic dungeon delving image, exploring a mushroom forest. This, of course, is the pastel version of In Search of the Unknown. I've been the Old Geek. Hope you've enjoyed it. See you again soon.